All right, what's up, everybody? This is the Friday Mastermind. I do not have my wingman, Todd Bookspan, today. So for 7 years, every Friday, 9 o'clock, we are masterminding with, the way I like to put it, is just badass people that make mortgage people better. More times than not, it's actually a player, like a top producing mortgage or top producing real estate player. Sometimes it's a player coach. Sometimes it's executives and leaders. Today's guest is like the leader behind the leaders, is the way I'm going to frame it. I'll do a full introduction in a minute, but what's up, Deborah Bird?
So I've been with Todd for like 2 weeks straight. I've been kind of spoiled. We've been hanging out side by side, making impact from Shayla's event, and then we did our exactly what to say event this week. And so I've had a lot of time with Mr. Bookspan. It's been fantastic.
Rubbing it in.
Happy
Rubbing it
Memorial
in.
Day weekend, guys.
Yeah, we could have really cut out some time. So do feel free to insert some takeaways from that Slay with Shay event. It looked
Oof.
pretty powerful, pretty high impact.
Yeah.
So I would love to know your big takeaway at some point today on that. And then you and Todd just did the exactly what to say workshop. So maybe a little story from that at some point in the conversation. You cool with that?
Okay. Yeah.
All right. So this next guest, it is the first time I've officially interviewed him for the Mortgage Coach YouTube channel. It's the first time he's been a guest at our show. Which, Rich, I'm kind of surprised you and I didn't do this before. Like, I don't know how I didn't think to invite you to be a guest.
It's all good. I'm here now, and yeah, I'm excited to be here.
Yeah. So Rich, I feel like I met you before you were leading the Mortgage Collaborative. I can't remember exactly. Was I selling to you and you were an executive at a bank, or do you
Yeah,
remember how we first met?
it was just before I went to go run the Mortgage Collaborative. I was running lending for a bank in Cleveland, and yeah, we were looking at Mortgage Coach, and we connected at some industry conference. So yeah, and that was over 10 years ago now. So
But it's been a long time. And then he was he's the guy I call the operator that helped start the Mortgage Collaborative, which, guys, check it out. It is it's like a formal mastermind of C-suite executives in lending. So a lot of community lenders, there's credit unions, IMBs, typically not the largest banks. It's typically mid-size to medium-size executives, but these events are only executives. I would go there as a vendor, and I was selling to the executives. And my memory of Rich is he was just always my favorite guy. That, like, you're at this networking event and you're like, oh, I want to go talk to my buddy, and I like go just shoot the shit with Rich. He's an insider, so he knows a lot about what's happening at the executive level. And then he recently started a podcast with Rob Chrisman. Hopefully everybody is following the Chrisman Report, and it's called The Big Picture. They're on their third episode, which was Bill Dallas this week, who anyone who follows me knows that it's one of my most important mentors in my life that I've known for pretty much my entire mortgage career. And so with that said, Rich, welcome to the show, bro.
thank you. Fired up to be here, and yeah, thanks for having me. And yeah, looking forward to the conversation.
So let's do this before we start peppering you with questions around AI and the NAR settlement and the impact on both realtors. Just give everybody a little bit about your story, and also I want to weave in, like, why did you start the Big Picture? So tell us a little bit.
Yep. So, spent a little under 20 years running lending divisions for banks just in the Cleveland, Ohio area where I'm from. And then, yeah, about 10 years ago, got presented with an opportunity to join a startup at the time called the Mortgage Collaborative. It was some really influential people in the mortgage industry that had put it together and were looking for somebody to come in and kind of get the plane off the ground. And yeah, so rolled the dice on that about 10 years ago and left the bank I was at. And yeah, ended up being great. Just an organization, like you said, Dave, it's really a mastermind organization nationally for mortgage lenders and, others in the mortgage industry. So we were able to really grow it. And, at one point, over 300 mortgage lending member institutions across America, about 85 preferred vendor partners. And yeah, it was, a couple big conferences a year, a bunch of virtual networking and masterminding, and a bunch of other stuff that kind of sought to, make all of our members stronger as mortgage lenders. So it did that for 8.5 years, and about exactly a year ago, did something, very few people do. I left the job I loved, just to start two businesses that I had been thinking about starting for a long time. I had been, planting the seeds and doing some shadow building. One is a sports card company called the Cardboard Jungle. I'm a big sports card collector. I'm really bullish on the space. Yeah, we're one of eBay's biggest sellers of sports card singles. And then we do live streams Wednesday, Thursdays, and Friday nights where we're ripping open the hottest new sports card products. Like tonight, starting at 8 o'clock, we're ripping, the three hottest new baseball card products tonight. People pay to fractionally be in these breaks. So instead of paying $600 for a box of Bowman baseball, you can pay 15 or 20 bucks and, get into one of our live stream breaks. And yeah, I built a fake jungle in my basement, and it's me and all these idiotic teenagers, and we have a lot of fun with it. So the Cardboard Jungle, and then a consulting company by the name of Onward and Upward Consulting. I've been very lucky to meet a lot of business owners in the space over the years. And I just, started doing some consulting on the side when I was at the Mortgage Collaborative. And last April 1 left to start those two companies. And then more recently, we started back up, Rob Krisman and I, my last 3 years at the Mortgage Collaborative. We did a show on Fridays called The Rundown. That got pretty popular. And and now we've kind of resurrected that under a new name called The Big Picture. And it's been great. Yeah, like you said, we've just kind of gotten it going. We've had 3 episodes so far. We talked to Steve Richmond, Bob Brooksmith, the president of MBA. Talked to Bill Dallas yesterday. We got our friend Sue Woodard coming out next week. So having a lot of fun with that. Just trying to really initiate conversations about the space. Delve into all the things that people are thinking about, talking about, really trying to strategize about, and it's been a lot of fun. So,
well, I'm excited about you guys. I hope you guys can all connect. There's so much you can learn from Rich. I mean, he is an entrepreneur. He's creative. He's brave. Would love to know how many people in this community are collecting cards,
I know.
and is that a big thing? Deborah, any of your boys collect cards? Is that something that you guys do in your family?
I mean, they're so sports obsessed, but they don't, but my husband we still have in the basement all of these, boxes and tubs of baseball cards, because he used to collect them when he was a kid. So now I'm like, I didn't even know this existed until I started researching you last night, Rich. And I immediately thought, I wonder if any of those are worth anything, or I should connect him with you. He's a big baseball guy and coached head baseball for a long time.
Cool.
But I do have a question. Did Deion Sanders ever have a card?
yeah, man, his card market has seen a resurgence since, everything with Colorado and him being in the news a lot lately. His rookie cards were during what they call the junk wax era. It was like late 80s, early 90s. Cards were really overproduced. So Dion rookie cards are criminally underpriced just because of the amount of them that exist. But it's his card market has seen a big resurgence. His kid got cards now too. Shador has got some cards in college uni product, and he's expected to be one of the top picks, maybe the top pick of the draft next year. So his kid's card market's starting to get a little wind at the back too. So,
man, so by the way, guys, put questions, and if anybody has questions on cards, we could go anywhere on this thing. You could just tell by hearing Rich that he knows his stuff. By the way, Deborah, would you start wearing Bad Birdie gear? I've never seen you with
it fits my brand, right?
Yeah, no, it does.
Bad Birdie. Yeah. I've worn it
I had never seen you with that hat, and I actually found that brand about 6 months ago and I've geared up. I've got some Bad Birdie stuff. I don't have a hat, but I wear some shirts and so on.
It's a vibe.
Yeah. Okay. Hey, real quick, why did you call it The Big Picture? What was the backstory to The Big Picture?
I think, with this going back to when Rob and I's old show, we always, I think tried to touch on to keep our finger on the pulse of what was most relevant to decision makers, people on the street in the mortgage space. And, I just always felt like there's not enough of that discussion happening, like all the stuff that could be happening with government intervention into the mortgage space right now. You've got obviously the NAR settlement and, how that's going to change some things. And I think, so I think it really tried to encapsulate, what we want the show to be. Like, you can tune in every week and hear about the biggest topics in housing finance, and quite frankly, other crap too. There's lots of left and right turns, and neither of us take ourselves very seriously at all. So there's a good amount of attempted humor in the show. Most of it, Rob and I directing it at one another, so trying to stir it up. So
Cool.
And
Well, that's
will
a
it
good
be every week? Sorry.
every
It-
No,
Thursday, 3 p.m. Yep,
Okay, every
live.
Thursday.
And then yeah, we put them on YouTube. Like the Bill Dallas interview is up on YouTube now, and on podcast as well. So a video show that we pod as well. So, and yeah, if you just search the big picture, you can find it on
Okay.
YouTube or
and
Apple Spot.
we'll put a link down below to the Bill Dallas. So literally in the past 2 weeks, you've spoken to Bill in a structured way. You've spoken to the president of the NBA. Let's just transition into AI and the NAR settlement. What you pick, which one do you want to hit first in terms of its impact on housing, mortgage, and real estate? You want to hit AI first, or you want to hit NAR
Do it.
settlement?
Yeah. Yeah. Let's do AI.
Okay, let's start with AI, and then we'll roll into our settlement. Remember, guys, if you have questions, bring it. So as you think high level, and then also based on the conversations you're having with all these industry leaders, how do you think it's going to impact mortgage? Run us through your thoughts.
Well, I think, well, and it's kind of tied to the NAR settlement. I just think that, you're going to see AI weave its way, further into all aspects of housing finance. I mean, and now, honestly, with the NAR settlement, I think what you're going to see is you're going to see just a lot of dually licensed people. It's going to be just this quest to get to people before they start looking at homes on Zillow. But are ready to do that, or maybe they just start looking at homes on Zillow. So things like, personalized property recommendations for people, being able to intuitively guide people through, parts of the before buying a home process that, I think that it's going to be really weaved into. And, it's things like analyzing images of properties, videos of properties, and tying that to, desires of prospective home buyers. I just think that the buyer's agent services world is going to be heavily impacted to a greater degree each day by AI. The mortgage space, it's, if you would have told me 5 years ago that we would still be where we are, with a lot of the tech that purports to be big cost saving artificial intelligence, it's not really materialized that way. I think it's starting to get there in some segments, like processing follow-up, pre-underwriting, underwriting. I think that's the part you're going to see just very clearly affected most in the mortgage finance space, in the mortgage space, where it's kind of furthest along. So
Yeah, I'm going to show a slide real quick, and because it just ties into what you just said. So this is a slide showing the previous profitability or lack thereof of IMB. So as of a couple of days ago, we had 7 consecutive weeks of losses, and as of yesterday, MBA posted, and we now have 8 consecutive weeks, which is 2 years of the industry losing money. And now we went from losing like $2,200 a loan in Q4 of last year to losing like $600 in some odd change a loan. So the loss is less. But here's another slide. And I'd love your thoughts on this. This is from Stratmore, the NBA. And in 2016, this is when the rocket went off in a Super Bowl commercial. And it was basically the beginning of a new category of technology called POS, point of sale. So for every loan officer listening, that's Blend, that's Simple Nexus. What do we call Simple Nexus now? Well, the point of sale, like click, get mortgage. No, Encompass does have a POS. But so the industry was spending about, 400 million. Flash forward to last year, and I'm sure it's more this year, the industry is spending 1.5 billion. And then when you look at productivity, so most of you watching this, you're either producing managers, I call that player coach, you're a loan officer, you're a player. In 2016, the average loans per loan officer was 5. And last year it was 3.7. So, I mean, clearly a downward trend of productivity aside from the COVID bubble when rates were at 2 and 3% and productivity went up. And then same thing with underwriting in the back end. So I guess, what are your thoughts on that? Like, why have we not had more juice for the squeeze for the technology spend? And then 2, any thoughts on how quickly AI will improve productivity for both loan officers and the back end part of the business?
On the second question, I think fairly soon. I mean, I think you're going to, once we actually have volume, to pump through the pig through the python here. I do think that, I mean, like in general, it's a little different for depositories, less likely to, staff up, staff down. But, and we talked with Bill Dallas about this yesterday, like the ultimate, like independent mortgage banker guy and advocate, so it was really interesting to get his thoughts on this. But, I mean, he spoke to really just a broken model that needs rethought and rebuilt for kind of independent mortgage bankers. So you can avoid what the hell we just saw on those charts. And, I think if you look at the history of like why we're still not there, tech is great in some spaces, it just with the heavy regulation and investor demands and guidelines and all the different counterparties they got to sign off on a damn loan to get it to the finish line and get it funded. It's complex, right? And so even well-developed tech is not seamless and scalable. And it certainly wasn't in 2020. All hell broke loose with the pandemic. Everybody, all employees got sent home overnight. Productivity was through the freaking roof the summer and fall of 2020 because you had these people at home with nothing to do, elated to have jobs and doing it in their PJs. So you saw this massive productivity uptick, and then it just started to wane, the productivity, and then the business started to wane, and then the productivity started to wane even more. And then you've had obviously all the layoffs of the last 2 years that still continue to this day now. So where independent mortgage bankers are at right now, it's like, okay, we staffed to the moon and made all this money, and then volume completely fell off, and layoffs and cut things down to the bone. And now I think the smartest IMB CEOs, they're hell bent right now on never having to go through that crap again, never having to experience the pain of both sides of that cycle and pendulum, the pain of all the volume and just trying to, again, get the pig through the python, and the pain of having to let people go and not making money and, all that. And AI is going to be a big part of that. And again, I think most directly, it's going to just the processing and underwriting side of things, right? After you make app, which is largely tech now, getting that loan to where you can schedule a closing. Right now there's, the last couple of years been so much just human back and forth throughout that process. But you're starting to see some companies that are making pretty good progress in that space, and the investor and counterparty acceptance and adoption of things that can help accelerate cycle times and overhead. They're getting a little bit better. So I do think if things were to get really busy overnight, something were to happen and rates were to drop to 5%, we all know what would happen then. I do think there's some lenders that are positioned for that, to be more productive on the back end of it, but it still is a work in progress. So.
Yeah. So what are your thoughts on this? And Deborah, feel free to chime in anytime after this or ask another question of Rich. But I've always felt like, when you look at that spend, the majority of it is loan manufacturing from the time that the credit report was run until the time not only was the loan closed, but it either got turned into servicing because the lender does servicing, or it got sold off to serving. That's loan manufacturing. And all that tech spend is right there. And also the industry, all the leadership resources go there. And where I've always felt that our industry is missing it, and I think I have the data to prove it now, is to expand what is loan manufacturing. Like when you quote rates, that's loan manufacturing. And there's a difference between MortgageCoach loan officers that ask great questions. They don't just deliver, here's your rate, here's your payment, here's your cash to close, but they're delivering a strategy to help that family achieve a goal. And they're more profitable. There's more gross margin. There's less exceptions. They convert more credit reports into loans. And so I've always just been confused. Confused is the right word because I know where it's coming from, but I've been frustrated that lenders, they could literally be profitable if they started putting more leadership resources and more technology further up in the process. Any thoughts on that you have of your own, or any
Well,
you think that's going to
I think
change?
the NAR settlement is going to act as a catalyst to all this. I mean, what I'm seeing and hearing is everybody, is, I just know that there's a lot of tech that's being developed right now that, I mean, like this kind of tech, like, okay, you're an interested home buyer. So for, hey, $600 or $995, and you complete like this form that is a, home buyer preference survey. Everything you're looking for. It's got to be in these areas, this price point. I need this many bedrooms, creating a little home buyer profile. And then, being able to get like immediate, contact with the listing agent, viewing. I think that you're going to see a lot of, because I know, because I've talked with multiple companies that are in this space, that they're going to be using AI to find buyers before they come in to get pre-approved. And they are going to work with them on, use tech to help be like, Match.com essentially, for prospective home buyers and listings. And then I think that tech will also purport to, perform buyer's agent services, and again, it'll be a work in progress, but I think you're going to see that. And you're going to see a lot of dually licensed people, both on the real estate and the mortgage side. So
I
So
say
Dave, it reminds me of the predictive index of if you have tools that can read your database and can predict when the next pain point or need would be, and you're already kind of matching, to use your words, Rich, of Match.com. It's like, how could you leverage AI that can synthesize massive amount of data to go work for you? And ultimately, what I would love to see is more people adopting AI to free up the time for loan officers to be more like mortgage coaches and give better advice and feel like they have the time to either learn the tool. Because as you know, Dave, the adoption of some of this technology, when you're rolling it out, maybe company-wide, change is not easy for a lot of people, and they don't want to adapt to change, and they may not use it to its fullest. But what if we could leverage AI to free up some time so that we can do more meaningful work, of the work that actually not only impacts the families that we serve, but also the bottom line for companies?
yeah, I think,
let's
I think you're going to see it B2B and B2C, that companies that will sell that tech to companies, like companies that buy MortgageCoach for all the reasons that they do, right? And our whole sales force is going to embrace this, and we have better informed buyers, and you're putting them in better situations. And, so I think, yeah, I think you'll see that tech deployed B2B the way that the companies do with Mortgage Coach, but also B2C.
Yeah, so let's spend the rest of this. We're like at halftime now. I think folks have got to know you a little bit. Let's go into the second half of this call, and let's try to like almost break down and blueprint. And let's talk about post NAR settlement so that we can integrate this into anyone watching this. If you're a loan officer, where might AI impact the back end, make loan manufacturing faster and lower cost? Where will it impact the front end? I've got actually a lot of thoughts on this. I interviewed Steve Brown. He's got a book called The Innovation Ultimatum. By the way, did he speak at one of your events? I feel like he was the bald.
I don't know. We had another futurist. I got your note. It was, I forget the guy's name. But we did have a futurist at one of our conferences, but it was not Steve.
Okay, I saw him speak at I know he spoke at Digital a couple years ago. I've interviewed him a few times, and just so you guys know who he is, I mean, he was the chief futurist for Intel for a number of years, which
Damn.
says a lot. He most recently has been working with what's Google's AI group, Dark Google's AI group. DarkMind, I think it's called. Anyway, so he's
I think it's Dark Matter. Is it Dark Matter? Yeah. Maybe it is Dark Mind. Anyways.
Yeah, someone let us know. So I spent probably 20 minutes prepping with him. We had a 40-minute interview. That will be in our YouTube channel either today or early next week. It's getting published. And so I spent a lot of time talking to him. Recommend anyone that's interested in where the future is going, make sure you check that out. Also, Rich, you'd be a good guy to have on your podcast if you want me to make an intro.
Yeah.
But let's actually start on the front end, just because I don't want to run out of time, and then let's work our way to the back end of the process. So, and Deb, you be ready to add a few ideas. Like, I think it's going to do blank, blank, and blank. I'll add a few. So, Rich, you already said some things, but I want to like take notes. So when you think on the front end of the mortgage manufacturing experience, where are all the things that you think AI might impact post NAR settlement, by end of year and the following year?
I think like I mentioned, like personalized property recommendations for people. If it's like a daily text message, I think that it's, the AI text is going to get really good at that, probably really quick, if I had to guess. Property valuations, right? Home values are up 43% nationally in the last 4 years, right? So if I'm buying a home right now, that is unusual appreciation. The supply demand continuum, there's going to be no declines in home prices anytime soon. It's almost impossible given the demand and supply. But at some point, history says there will be a correction of some sort at some point to the home price appreciation we've seen these last 4 years. So it's going to make it more and more important each day moving forward. If you're a home buyer, I want to buy a home that I know is going to continue to appreciate, and not depreciate. So I think, that part of it, again, like, taking listings that are out there publicly and, being able to perform kind of like next level analysis. If like, hey, I'm looking for a house with a pool that has got a hot tub and, a swimming lane, I don't know, but, stuff like that where you can dig deeper. And again, right now it seems crazy because there's so few properties out there that, everyone is getting viewed by everybody and bid on. But, thinking about a more normal world where, you list a house and it doesn't sell for 6 months, I think you're going to see some of that. And I also think like intuitively walking prospective home buyers through, if it's signing a purchase agreement or, like the same way that more like mortgage POSs are so damn good at like, okay, hey, you're ready to make the application, enter your name. All right. Enter your social security number, enter your job and your income. And then it asks you 3 follow-up questions intuitively about that job that is giving the lender the information that they need. I think you'll see intuitive AI technology that will, I think, help guide either home buyers that want to try to, buy without a buyer's agent, or, maybe a lower priced alternative. I think you're going to see a lot of that. So yeah, I think those are some of the things that are gonna be like, where 6 months from now, people will be like, holy crap, this is, something that's really emerging.
Yeah. So Deborah, why don't you give a few and then I'll give a few and then we'll see if we have more.
Waiting for the day that, now a consumer can go, to realtor.com and you can sort by bedroom or by price. But I'm curious, when are they going to show, like, per neighborhoods, like even per street, average rate of appreciation, and really showing more of the insights and analytics to help buyers know if they're making a good financial decision based off of the neighborhood? Because, when you look at a map, especially if you're not from the area, you may not understand. And that's where you typically depend on an agent to help guide you of, why this one may be appreciating a little bit quicker than this one, or the percentage of rentals or whatnot. But then also, it almost like a baseball card for each home, where it will tell you just in the neighborhood, like, here's the average age range of the owners in the area, and these are the amenities, and and just really allow you to give more control to the consumer because of AI and because of apps that they won't have to necessarily depend on for a buyer's agent necessarily. I mean, and now you could wear, virtual glasses, or be able to visit homes and go to showings without physically having to be there. It is what fascinates me. And I just wonder how that is going to be incorporated, not only from the real estate side, but then you take in mortgage. If there's an analysis that shows, okay, if you put in your current renter, what is the cost of renting for the next 3 or 5 years versus if you were to own this home? Like, is there a way, kind of the speed to need, I think, is going to now be lightning fast.
Yeah, for sure. So one, I wanted to validate some things. So I spoke to Jason Mitchell last week, and he is using AI to build out his personalized property profiles. I've also, as an investor, I've seen a number of companies that are using AI to bring a buyer agent solution post NAR. I've seen one AI solution where put in the Zillow link, and then it's using AI, and it's like, basically working as a virtual agent to deliver a self-serve experience to the consumer. Obviously ChatGPT for messaging and marketing, I'm personally disciplining myself to use it daily. I'm not doing it daily, but I'm doing it like 3-4 times a week. But I'm trying to, like, hey, I need to adopt, and I need to start using this every single day, and just haven't been able to discipline myself to do that. But I do think, we're all going to be AI augmented sales professionals and mortgage professionals. That was the takeaway from Steve Brown. Here's how we're using AI at Trust Engine, and I mean, one, we use it for our programmers to program faster and more accurately. So, I think that's already happening. I don't know what percentage of companies in the mortgage tech and fintech space are using AI with their engineers, but my guess is it's a pretty high number. From a data perspective, 5 years ago, this was kind of the common place out there in the mortgage and real estate space. You had a database and you really didn't know what was going on. And Sales Boomerang, which is part of Trust Engine, democratized that. So that I do think, Rich, what percentage of lenders now do you think are predicting, they in their CRM, hey, I'm getting a listing alert. Hey, when someone's cheating on me and they're running a credit report, they're getting a credit report alert. I mean, I think it's a pretty high percent of lenders and loan officers now that have trigger alerts. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think independent mortgage banks, probably 60-70%, honestly, at this point. Banks and credit unions going to be a lower number. So you ball it all up, and at least half would be my
Okay, yeah.
guess.
So
Yeah.
half. So here's how we're using AI, guys. And the magic, all those trigger alerts are right here. Like they're in the market and it's a red ocean. The magic is the sweet spot, getting to the consumer before it's obvious and everyone's there. And companies, big retail, Target has been doing this forever. Amazon, not forever, but they've been doing it for 5, 10 years. Big tech, big pharma. Uh, our CEO, when he ran the cloud for Oracle, they used AI. They were helping Toyota launch a pickup truck. And so AI is being used to figure out like, hey, learn faster. What are the signals that predict who would be the most likely buyer of a pickup truck? And and they found like, hey, beef jerky is people who buy beef jerky. That's an alpha signal. Uh, and one of the things we're doing is using AI and machine learning to predict who's ready to move up, who's ready to move down. And so, that's one thing that's happening. I mean, right now, like here at Trust Engine, we've got AI scientists working on that. Like, how can we be more predictive to pick move up buyers? And then the other thing we're working on, and actually it's going pretty well, is how could we use AI to go from a fee worksheet to a total cost analysis? How can we use AI to really like, okay, the transactional started, but literally you have an AI assistant that is creating a first version of your total cost analysis for you. So
Wow,
anyways,
that's
yeah,
incredible.
right? That'll be, and then how cool would it be when we go from predicting a data signal, like, hey, beef jerky, boom, and we go right to a mortgage coach experience. And so, I mean, that's happening fast. I don't want to name a date in this call right now, but I mean, it will be by next year that we are able to do that, and we're already seeing pretty positive tests on how AI can help us create a TCA faster. And who knows, that could happen by the end of the year, but sometime before the middle of the year is what we're targeting.
See, and that's exactly what I was talking about of how do we leverage the AI to free up some of the mundane tasks that's very click that could be automated so that loan officers can really, become mortgage advisors and take the time to study financial strategy and the art of, getting deals to work, not just for the initial loan, but then helping them manage that debt for 30 years, but a lot of loan officers that I speak to, they just feel overwhelmed with all the paperwork and the clicks. And some of them have lost team members. So now they're having to check their own emails again and, import contracts, and they're wearing more hats than maybe what they were used to. And it can feel overwhelming when you couple that with like, now I have to be a content creator and I'm, getting my hair and makeup done on some day so I can do all this video. And it's like, how do you do it all and still be, a professional? And so those who leverage AI are realizing they can free up more of their time to then do what matters most and creates the most impact, let
Yeah.
alone
Yeah.
conversion for that matter.
Yeah. So my last thought on it, and it's not as far off as y'all think, is that everything that can be automated will be automated. And it's not that far off where when a consumer is talking to someone on the telephone, that they cannot distinguish whether they're talking to a machine or a human. Like these are things that are going to happen on the front end. And the takeaway for everyone on this call should be that means you need to double down on humanity. You need to double down on emotional IQ. You need to double down on being an advisor. You need to double down on, telling stories and building relationships. Rich, any thoughts on that before we flip and go to the back end?
No, I agree. Yeah, wholeheartedly with everything that you guys just mentioned there in terms of, yeah, use cases of AI, how it's going to help real estate agents, loan officers, borrowers. It's all coming pretty quick. And, just like the Rocket Mortgage commercial that you alluded to in 2016 really was a catalyst to mortgage POS tech. I really believe that the NAR settlement is going to be a big time shot in the ass for all this tech that, was already being developed and continues to be developed. I think you're going to see it accelerated. So
Yeah, and Steve confirmed that. So I mean, he came from Intel, where the Moore's Law, which basically says every 10 years, 50 years of innovation takes place. It accelerates. So the next 10, think of what's happened over the past 20 years. Over the next 10 years, we're going to have 50 years of innovation. And he said it's accelerated. Like he thinks it's double. And so think of that, guys. Think of over the next 2 years, we're going to have 20 years of innovation. So think of what's happened over 20 years. In 2 years, we're going to have 20 years of tech innovation. It's accelerating. By the way, Paul, hopefully we spoke to your question. AI is going to impact a lot more than just the back end. And I do think how AI is going to impact the back end is going to be easier, because it's going to plug into Encompass. It's going to plug into these tools that are already well adopted by technology. But where AI is going to be harder to adopt is where you loan officers are, because all the time, like I'm doing a mastermind, or I'm leading an executive mastermind at the Mastermind Summit in Vegas the first week in June, and every executive that I've done my prep call with, one of the questions is, how do we get loan officers to better adopt and use our technology? So just know, everyone listening to this, like, you guys are the bottleneck at scale.
Step it up, guys. Step it
I'm not
up.
saying every single one of you is the bottleneck, but we're like, even me, like,
You're the shit in the pipe. Come on.
Yeah. And Rich, right? I mean, is that always like at your conferences? How can we get our people to use the tech the way it's intended to use?
yeah, I mean, 100% of mortgage lenders feel like their LOs are not utilizing the technology that they've purchased for them. And it's become more even exaggerated recently because it's been so slow, and these lenders are locked into these long contracts on things, and they're already paying for it, and there's no volume, and so yeah, that is a universal issue.
Yeah, I would love to push everyone, whether you're watching the video of this or you're watching on Zoom. We've got a big audience on Zoom. Why not? Like first of all, you can answer this either two separate entries or one. On a scale of 1 to 10, like, I am using our company's tech stack at a level 10 or a 5. Where do you rate yourself in terms of how well you adopt, how well you use the tech? I would love to see some numbers. So please, people, share. And then for anyone that's less than a 9 or an 8, I would love some just why not statements. I don't do it because, and don't start throwing vendors under the bus. I don't want to hear like such and such CRM sucks. I just want to hear, maybe because I don't like their CRM and whatever. But I want to know where you rank, and if you're below 8, why? So Glenn, what is this, 6.52? So I like you, Galen. You're cool.
That's
I moved
funny.
to a new. By the way, that's a good. You're good, bro. I can tell already that you're going to be a 9 in 2 months just by the way you answered that. Uh, so thank you, Galen, on that. Yeah, and by the way, Leslie, I got the memo that Pearl Jam or Dark Matters, Pearl Jam's. That's probably why I was thinking about it, because I dig Pearl Jam. All right.
I think most don't want to slow down to speed up. Like the time that they would need to set aside to learn it, which, can sometimes be frustrating when you're not good at something right away. And it takes time. It takes some reps. To me, I feel like that's the biggest why that I've seen from the clients that I work with is just, and especially right now when volume's low, you would think they would have more time to spend on learning these tools, but they're hunting and desperately trying to get every deal without ruining the experience or doing something wrong or it not working. So it's a learning curve.
Yeah. Well, Rich, you have no loan officers. You're consulting with a company now. You've heard it. What do what do you think are some of the most common why not are loan officers not leveraging the tech stack the way it's intended to be leveraged?
Well, I think a lot of times maybe it's bad. I think it's a combination of things. Sometimes it's bad tech and bad vendors. It isn't producing the results that it purports to. I think the biggest thing is though, it's a very tough sales cycle. It's very tough right now, and it's to your average LO that was doing 3 units a month and is now doing half a unit or a unit. It's tough to get into the regular grind of implementing tech and posting to social because if you've been doing that for the last year, even at excellent levels, it probably at least to the mind of the user hasn't produced the results, the return on time investment that they've got. So I think that's part of it. But you have to stay consistent with it. It's the same with social media. It's the same way. I mean, LinkedIn is really blowing up right now as a platform in the mortgage space, and a lot of the companies and clients I'm working with. That's one of the things I'm working with them on is developing the right mindset and the right systems and practices on LinkedIn and other platforms, and just making it part of their professional DNA forever and always, because and putting the building blocks in place right now for when the business climate's a little bit more, robust, that you'll see the results that you want. But it's tough. I mean, it is, these are not salaried employees, right? You're not paying them $50,000-$60,000 a year. There's no base salary coming in. And I think it's just that thing. It's been a forever issue in mortgage, regardless of where tech is. So
So we're getting into the fourth quarter now. I want to, before we go into just back end, because I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that, because one, most of the people on this call don't control the tech stack on the back end. And, and I will tell you, everyone on this call, the best way you can close loans faster and help your company and help yourselves is take a better application. So that is going to be the punchline. Like, the more thorough you are and the better job you do of handing it off to the back end, that's what makes companies work well, and that's what makes the process work well. But I think on the very front end, Rich, do you agree with this, that the mortgage advisor who can really deliver an experience, like the minute that realtor refers them, they're going to need to do a better job of creating value for the agent and a better job of delivering tangible advice. And with this NAR settlement coming, that would be where I would be pushing mortgage professionals to skill up, get better at that point of the whole process. Any thoughts on that?
no, I agree with you 100%. Right now, every realtor, every listing, there's 17 lenders and their mothers and brothers that are, have been asking for that loan for 6 months. So it's even more imperative today, Dave, to do exactly what you said. If you are fortunate enough to, have the trust of that realtor, that referral partner to get the referral, you have to really differentiate yourself through information, technology, tools, everything you can bring to the table, like instantaneously, to help put the borrower in a better position, the loan in a better position to close, and the realtor in a better position to make a commission on a deal that closes as soon as possible. So, because if you don't, somebody else is going to, right? There's too much tech evolving right now. The landscape is changing because of the NAR settlement. There's going to be a bigger pool of potential people that can provide those services, and everybody's hungry, right? Everybody's starving, right? So you throw a pizza in the middle of the table, it's going to go pretty quick. So you got to be quick and you got to be good.
Do you
To
burn
me, it
anything
goes
you want
back
to add to that?
to, well, it's knowing exactly what to say, when to say it, how to say it. It's part of that emotional intelligence that you were talking about earlier of sometimes people don't always hear exactly what you say. It's more what they hear. And so how are you in tune to pick up some of those signals and speak to the heart and to the mind? Because people typically make decisions from their heart and justify with their mind. And so sometimes you can be the one that knows everything, but if you don't know how to articulate your value in a clear, concise way, and like landing the plane, because we've done interviews before, we've watched people do borrower consultations, and I'm like, for the love of God, you are all over the place. Like, I am confused. Like, I don't even know where you were guiding me. People right now, they don't want to be helped. They want to be led. Like, I don't go to the doctor's office and say, hey, I need help with this. Like, tell me what I need to do. Tell me what's best. Don't ask me what's best. Like, you're the professional. And so for some, it's hard to use a tool, say like MortgageCoach, if you don't understand financial strategy. That's what I love about your 10X series that you did. And when you have, the pros who show how they structure the strategy, even to the point of how you label the columns, like the heading of your TCAs, like that matters. If it's too many words and jumbled and people are starting to glaze over, like, you need to learn how to be in the moment and serve the moment and read your audience to see, are they with you or are they not? Like, is that value to them? Or are you just regurgitating what you say to everybody else? Because a first-time home buyer has a different set of needs, if we're talking speed to need, versus the investor or first-time home buyer seller. Like, they've never sold before. So you've got to study your craft. It's not just an order taker of what's your date of birth, what's your social. Your advice is going to be the differentiator. So how are you studying the advice, and are you working on the word choices of how you deliver the message?
Boom. You got a lot of hearts, got a lot of loves, got a lot of reactions. You just won the mastermind there.
About
Rich
damn
and I
time.
Rich and I did not get that much love from the audience. So boom, one for Deborah. You got two more chances to beat her on reactions, Rich. So here's how we're gonna play it. We got 8 minutes left. I want to save 5 minutes at the end because I want to buy my first sports card, and I want you to tell me where to buy it and what to buy. So, so we're going to close out with just a little 5 minutes novice. If someone's watching this and they want to get some cards for their kids, they want to get their cards for themselves, like 5 minutes, what to do. But in 3 minutes, just share a couple thoughts on what do you think is going to happen first with AI on the back end? Like, what are some of the things you think are coming soonest, coming fastest, that are going to speed up loan manufacturing?
Automated underwriting of loans, that is a laborious process. It's gotten better over the years, but I think that's I like pre-underwriting and underwriting, not just, looking at a complete file and, rendering a credit decision, but the things that go into that, after you submit app and prior to a credit decision, that tranche right there, is really ripe to be automated more. This is not manufacturing process. On the servicing end, there's a lot of tech that's already being implemented. It's a little bit further along than some of the manufacturing process tech, but predictive analytics on portfolios of loans people hold, not wanting to have loans run off or refi, and Dave, like the sales boomerang stuff that they're doing, right? Predictive moments in life, that stuff, is right there as well. And then I think just a lot of stuff on the super front end that we've been talking about that will put home buyers like in a better position to get approved, from, okay, I think I might want to buy a house, like from that point in time to, okay, I picked a house, I've got a lender, and I'm now approved, through helping them find the right home and to accelerate the parts of the home process, buying process, that are not tied to lending. So I think there's a lot coming. And again, I do think that, it will be accelerated by just the landscape right now as well. So
Cool. So Deborah, you be ready to close it in the last minute with the win by noon close. And Rich, just tell us, like, if Deb and I wanted to go online, buy some cards today, like, how should we decide what we're going to buy and where should we do it?
yeah, there's a few different ways to like buy cards, and this has evolved. You can go to Target or Walmart and buy just like a box of unopened packs of cards. that's fun. People love ripping packs and baseball and sports cards today. It's not like when we were growing up. You can open a pack of cards and pull out an autographed, Jordan Love or, Joe Burrow rookie card that's numbered, 3 of 5. So maybe just the base Joe Burrow rookie card's worth 15 or $20, but the autographed numbered to 5 one is worth like $5,000. So that's a new part of collecting. That's why people like buying packs. You can buy singles. That's what we do on eBay, the Cardboard Jungle. So you can go into our store right now and you could buy a Tony Gwynn rookie card, or you could buy a Corbin Carroll rookie card, or you could buy individual single cards of players. And then within that, you can buy graded cards as well. Like this is Erling Haaland, the soccer superstar, autograph card. But you see it's professionally graded. There's companies that do this when you have cards you like. It entombs the card. It gives it, so it protects the condition for life. It also gives it a grade that affects the value. This is another emerging thing. And then another way to buy cards that is really emerging, it's why I started the Cardboard Jungle, is buying into what are called breaks. So if you go to the cardboardjungle.com, you'll see tonight we have 3 breaks up. 2024 Topps Heritage Baseball, 24 Bowman Baseball, and 23 Topps Chrome Platinum. And you could pay like $10 and get in the break. And we randomize you with the team live, like, hey, Dave from Cali, you've got the San Diego Padres. And so all the Padres cards that come out of the box in the live stream are yours. We pull a Tatis autograph out. Boom, you're $10. You just got a $350 card. So, but that's emerging. That's what's emerging right now. Like the live stream box breaks.
So if I wanted to buy, and right now I'm feeling the need for a Deion Sanders card and a Caitlin Clark card.
Yeah.
Like I personally want both of those. So can I go to the Cardboard Jungle and make that happen?
Yeah. eBay in general is the best place. It's the biggest, it's by far the biggest place where people buy and sell sports cards. So if you go to eBay and type in like Caitlin Clark rookie card, you're gonna have hundreds of thousands of options, and
No, but I want to buy a card from you, bro. Can I get yeah, so I yeah, okay. Well, I'm gonna get 1 or 2 cards because I think that's cool. And I also want to support your entrepreneurship. Also, my closing thought, guys, do you notice how when he talks about cards, he just lights up and he loves it? And that's just a push to everybody to like get your head right. I'm not saying go start a new gig. I'm saying that's the way you should be doing life is lighting up. Like I love what I do. And so I light up when I do it. And so make sure and I do believe sometimes you got to change what you're doing. Most of the time you just got to change how you're thinking about what you're doing. And things like being a mortgage coach, like going from fee worksheet loan officer to I'm giving people advice. I'm showing people how to build net worth with real estate. There's a significance that comes, be a first home IQ ambassador. There's a significance that comes from helping people beyond the transaction. So that's my closing thought. Deborah, close us out.
Well, I love that you shared that because I feel like there are a lot of people in the business who have kind of lost their fire or their passion. And it may just be because the business has been hard. Like there's times where it's a grind and it's like, here we are again. Now we're at a point where we thought rates were going to be a little bit better and they're not. And some are just barely holding on. But when you do make that impact with a borrower or an agent, I mean, that lights you up. It's a fulfillment. There's a difference between just doing work and getting loans versus doing work that matters. So my challenge to you all is the theme with a lot of what we talked about is, does your advice actually make a difference? Is your advice worth your fees and your rate? Would someone be willing to pay the extra in interest or however much more your fee is? Do you give 10x value for what you charge? And if you don't, then it's time to do some work. And the first step is just that awareness. It's okay if not, but if you're just giving answers that people can get themselves off ChatGPT or a Google search, that's not enough anymore. Like, you need to be able to help people with the art and science behind originating and strategy and how buying these homes will fund the lifestyle that they want for their life. That's what is exciting to witness and to see. So do the work and you'll be on top, but there's no shortcuts. So don't try to take shortcuts. Do the work.
All right. And I am going to get the closing thought. Guys, the big picture. If you're watching this, if you got some value, go and subscribe. You know, this is ground floor. They just launched this thing. Rob Chrisman, you know, what he's done for our industry and the amount of just energy and love he puts into our industry is incredible. And these two are partners and they got a new podcast. So check it out. And for all you loan officers on here, if you want to know what's happening in the C-suite, follow it. Like you'll find out what's happening. That I guarantee that Bill Dallas interview is something that, you know, everybody in mortgage should be listening to. So Rich, you're the man, bro. Appreciate you coming on our show. And I look forward to watching some of your show. And I'm sure we'll do this again, man.
Thanks for having me. This was great. Really appreciate it. Deborah, good to meet you.
Ooh.
And
Thank you.
yeah, this was awesome. So
Have a good weekend, everybody. Take care.
take care, guys.